Emily Ferry.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Camuto.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Lydia Camille Dixon.
I'm Sarah Dates Wardam.
My name is Linda Preston, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 446. I'm here with the talented and beautiful Laurie Burke. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you.
The honor's all mine. Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. But you should never give up, and you should prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. You should prove to them you can break the labels. With that being said, half hour, 37 minutes of your time. Gotta ask some easy questions. Some questions may come out of left field. Whatever pops in my head. So with that being said, you're supporting a new cause, making a new friend out of it. And with that being, sound like an oxymoron, I'm going to say it again. With that being said, I'm going to ask, long day. Alright, so the first question I was going to ask you is, how was life growing up, and what can you tell us about yourself?
Let's see. Well, first of all, I'm really grateful for everything that I have in life. Great friends, great family, great vocation. I get to do my passion. I grew up in a family of professional musicians and actors. So my dad's an actor as well as a musician. My mom was in a group called the Villagers, which was a big folk group on RCA Records. And they're just extraordinary people, very, very talented and humble and nice and just great parents. And I grew up born and raised in San Francisco. And which I'm very proud of as well. Moved around the world and came back and back to San Francisco. I loved it. I have a sister, Lisa, and a brother, Michael. Both are also musicians. And then I've got, nieces and nephews and all that stuff. I have a nephew that's an actor as well, just like me. So, I feel very, very blessed.
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you the easy questions to get that out of the way. Then we can
Sure.
get back to the hard-hitting ones. And the first one is, when you were in college, were you a study nerd or party animal? And did you do any sports growing up?
Okay. College, I was very much study, and I had a serious boyfriend for like 6 years. So I even, that was like my weekends and stuff like that. So I was pretty into school, especially when I figured out what I wanted to do, which was this, broadcast communications. I have a degree from San Francisco State University in broadcast communications, radio, television. Before that, it was, I always worked about 3 jobs pretty much consistently, sometimes more. What was your other question?
Oh, did you do any sports?
Oh, yeah, I did a lot of sports. Loved tennis, softball, baseball, stuff like that, running. I did basketball before everybody kept growing. I think I peaked at like the age of 12. So I kind of stayed the same size. So basketball, I kind of like, but yeah, I love sports, and particularly baseball. I really, really enjoy that.
What was your most favorite thing about track, and what did you hate about track?
Track, I wasn't really track team. I loved team sports. So I loved, like I said, baseball, softball, fast pitch softball, tennis, things like that. Track was more on my own. As I got older, I would always run, I'd run like 6 miles a day. I just love the long distance, basically because I get to listen to music. So I think music is like a meditation thing. So I really, everywhere I went, I became a flight attendant after college. and traveled around the world, lucky enough. And everywhere I went, I had my camera with me, which was another passion of mine, and I could run everywhere. So, let's say you're in Italy for a day, just get out there, put on your shoes and run. And I loved it. I thought it was just such a great way to explore any city. So.
No, absolutely. What about one of my favorite things is, did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or not into the whole thing?
No, I would have loved that. No. That would have been... I was a cheerleader, though, for a year, if that's what you mean. Like a cheerleading pyramid thing?
Well, kind of both.
Yeah. No, I mean, my life's not over yet. I could do that someday, I guess. Longer to fall. But, no. Did you get to do that? Or no?
For what?
Did you ever get to be at the top of a pyramid? Or
I wanted to, but I never found the right group of people. I'm a loser. I love that stuff.
I think you really have to trust those people. I mean, given that you'll probably be at the top. At least me, I'll probably be at the top, right? The taller people are on the bottom, so yeah.
For the most part. Would he ever be up for doing one?
Sure. Why not?
Hey, never say never, right?
Never say never. I was just asked today if I ever skydived, which I have. I was like, try everything. That's what life's about, right? So.
No, absolutely. And I would love to skydive. And people are like, aren't you afraid of falling? So it's not the falling that I'm afraid of. It's the impact. You don't want to be Wile Coyote.
That's so true. Well, but I do remember when I skydived, just a little segue, I was in Australia. And I remember it really set a lot of my future life mindset. Because I remember being in the plane, being terrified, thinking, what am I doing? This is so stupid. I could die this way, blah, 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 blah. Of course. But I was tandem, so I was attached to somebody else. And I thought, you know what? You've got a choice here, right? Just like in life. Like, you could actually say to them, look, I'm terrified. I don't want to do it. I'm sure it's not the first time that that's happened. And they'll probably just circle around and drop me back off. Or you could jump out and really embrace everything. But don't do both. Don't jump out and be worried that you're going to die or be worried that you're going to do it. Either go for it or don't go for it. And, and there's nothing bad about either one of those scenarios. So I kind of view my life like that. Like when I make a decision, I'm like, look, either do it or don't do it, but don't cheat yourself by doing it halfway or worrying while you're doing it. Really enjoy the ride. So.
There was this guy I used to work with, and he says, he used to do the Yoda impression. I can do it a little bit, but it sounds like Grover. Like, Rrr. It's like, okay, let me get in Yoda. And it says, I would do that. There is no try.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I love Star Wars too. That's a huge Star Wars fan. That's really good. You know how much voiceover I do. So yeah, if I ever have a casting for that, I'll definitely give you a call.
Well, I can do some impressions if you like.
That's awesome.
Would you like to hear a couple?
Sure.
Let's see, Yoda. I remember. Here's a funny story for you that I did to a customer. It's last year. Actually, yeah. It was actually no. Wait. I'm trying to think. Having a brain fart. I'm trying not to hurt myself. So it's 2015. Star Wars when it first came out, Episode 8, and she wanted a nightlight, and then for some reason she changed her mind. And I bit my lip and I said, should I do it? Should I not? It's like, sleep in the dark? He will.
Perfect. Spot on.
And the other one, I can do Yogi Bear. Boo boo. You do.
That is, I bet you could do Kermit the Frog too, huh?
Not really. It's just hard to do.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, Miss Piggy. Oh, it's something like that.
Or Fozzie Bear would be another one that I think, like with that voice, kind of the same, that you have, like the placement of it. Oh
yeah, you like Fozzie will be, oh, waka waka waka. Yeah, like something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
The other one would be, do you ever see the cartoon Adventure Brothers? It's the guy, Adventure Brothers. It's on Adult Swim. It's the guy who does Family Guy, the one who does Joe Swanson. He has a great voice. I'd love to have him on the show. But he does the Adult Swim. And unfortunately, I can't do Joe Swanson. That would be pretty funny.
Right.
But there's this guy, and it's a combination. If I stutter, I apologize.
No.
It's let's see. People call him number two. Is right? Number two, but I call it my Ray Romano impression. Hey,
Yeah,
come on! I just bought you deodorant. Why can't you go on by your own? It's only $1.50. Come on!
That's amazing. That's amazing. Have you? Yeah, I don't know if you've seen. Have you ever been on a table read where they read the copy of that? You know, like for example, have you done that or?
Not yet. If you like to teach me, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But
No.
I know what it is. You know, I know what a cold read. I think it's a cold read where you would teach me the lines and I would read the lines for the scene. I've seen people like from Suits do that. You know, Harvey, the guy who did Harvey Specter, to practice his lines, and the kid who did Mike, he did his lines. So I think that's like a cold read or something.
Well, cold read is actually when you just get the copy, which is the script, but we call it a copy, and you get that and you just read it right there. You don't have very much time at all to prepare. So a lot of times for auditions, you get a cold read, right? And then for a table read is like, I was lucky enough, I've got some friends that work on American Dad and Family Guy and stuff like that. I was able to have it, to sit around a table and everybody reads their parts in front of you, like Seth MacFarlane, and just people that are just, to me, gods in the industry. I mean, it's just amazing, especially if you're like a voiceover nerd like me. It's amazing. And so you hear the episode, but they're right in front of you reading it. So it's a table read. You could do that also without voiceover. You could do that as actors, reading around. But you do that typically, like if you're going to do a play or something like that, or anything really. You have a table read, and it kind of see how everything meshes.
Well, if they're kind of like, if I didn't mean to interrupt, I apologize. But
no, you didn't.
If they're kind of like gods, wouldn't I make you a goddess?
I would like to think so, but I don't know about that.
Go ahead.
I'm just really feel, grateful to be in the industry. I really love it. And I get really into, listening to it. I've also been able to I've been able to do a lot of really cool stuff that, in my own like little booth or even without, or in front of people or talking, and then also teaching. I mean, just stuff like that. It's a great industry, but you have to really want to have that. When I do teach, or people ask me questions about voiceover all the time, I say, why don't I tell you what it is and show you what it is a little bit, and then you could decide, because it's a lot of times you're by yourself in a booth, saying, I do a lot of tech work. I think you already know I was a voice of Google Voice, so that kind of set me in that whole. Yeah. So that was me. So the original and all that stuff for like 5 years before it was even Google Voice. It was Grand Central. They bought it and they wanted to keep my voice on it. So then I kept recording for Google. So in any case, I work with a lot of startup companies, a lot of tech companies where I really don't know what I'm talking about, but it's cool to me that I get to have these 15 syllable words that I have to kind of act like I know what I'm talking about and pronounce it correctly, so I'm always looking it up, like, I don't know what that is, and that, so it's kind of cool because I get to learn too while I'm doing it, but it's definitely a specific vocation, because it's not always exciting, maybe what you're reading. Again, you might not even know what you're talking about, but to be able to do that and to tell a story, animation is really fun because you get, I studied in London and Paris and Berlin. I studied acting at RADA and some other just amazing schools, and really character work. So then if you bring that into voiceover, it's awesome because you just have one thing, you're telling the story with your voice. So.
Well, if you would love to work together, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but I was gonna say, I didn't even know there was a voice for Google.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still get paid for it, or you don't get?
No, that was I was typical. I guess what happens is I wasn't getting paid very much for it. I mean, it's just like the story with a lot of people that you hear, and then I didn't. They used it for millions and millions and bought it for, I think, $90 million. But no, I didn't get anything like that of that. So I try to tell people that too that are starting out in the industry, see if you're going to start growing a company or be a part of it, envision it for what you want to do in your goals, and things like that. But I'm really thankful for the experience of doing it, and it was fun. So,
No, absolutely. And I do a lot of fan-made parodies for fun if you're ever interested.
Yeah, I do a lot of those too, but I do it with singing. Parodies with singing. So it's like, I did a song about lice, and it was by Justin Bieber's "Love Yourself," but it was about lice, or like I just did stuff like that. Which is really fun because I've also studied a lot of singing. Obviously, that's what I do, and so I get to do everything all in once. I get to sing it and do the voiceover of it, maybe be in it too. So,
well, if you're interested, maybe we can work something out.
Yeah, sure.
Like I do, I'm a big fan of Dumbo and Jumblebug. So I would get like certain parts. It's kind of like a table read. I would write them out. Some parts are actually from the movie, and some parts I would just make up. And you would just pretty much reenact it. And that's why it's called a fan-made parody, because I'm putting my own spin on it.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing of the industry is create your own content and things like that. In acting, too. We've had a few things in San Francisco. I was on Hulu on Chance with Hugh Laurie. That was like a highlight, and really just amazing. And we have Stranger Things was out here for a few, 13 Reasons Why. There was a few things like that came here. And, they kind of go through and then maybe they go back to LA or whatever. So we have such a strong community out here that all of us are kind of like, let's create our own content, because we don't always have that many communities. And I hope we do in the future. I really do. I so believe in this entertainment community. It's very small. We all know each other. There's so much talent out here. So a lot of my friends are creating their own series and like you said, or parodies or whatever. And so we try to work together and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I noticed that you worked for Funimation, one of my favorite cartoon people. And I didn't even know. I kind of known, but I kind of blocked it out until recently. But Funimation actually made He-Man and She-Ra.
Did I? Wait, Funimation? I didn't work.
And when you go back to watch He-Man and She-Ra, it does the little rainbow introduction that says Funimation.
I didn't even know that, but I don't think I have done anything with them.
No, you haven't, but that's me like Funimation.
But I would love. Yeah. No, Funimation's great.
And my other favorite cartoon besides He-Man and She-Ra was on Dragon Ball Z. Mm-hmm. Have you ever worked for Dragon Ball Z or not really?
Mm-mm. Is that based out in San Francisco? Is it East Coast, West Coast?
I'm not really sure. I know my good friend Kyle Herbert does. Like I know a couple names like Kyle Herbert, Kerrigan Mayhem. Mm-hmm. Do you know any of those ringing bells? No?
Is it voiceover or is it on air?
Voiceovers.
Voiceover. It's really it's funny. Because we work usually so individually, we don't usually have a lot of other voice actors because unless they're speaking Spanish, like if you're doing doing something for Wells Fargo or something like that, there'll be me and then there'll be like a Spanish speaker, or something like that, or the Emmys. It's like why, and then but you don't meet each other because you're in a little studio, far away from each other. But but I love the community, so.
What were some of your, I saw that you also worked for Funimation. What were some of your favorite impressions, or would you like to do some impressions?
No, I'm more of a straight up voiceover person, I'm an actress. So I don't do impressions as much. Yeah. I mean, copy like for song, for singing, sometimes I'll do that, but usually no. I think I like yours better. So.
What were some of your favorite projects that you worked on, and do you have anything in the works?
I've got tons of stuff in the works, which I'm so, knock on wood, grateful for. Like right now I'm in between. I just recorded something, I have to record something. It's like all that stuff. I just did voiceover for the Emmys, and that was really great. I was really excited about that. Again, working with Hugh Laurie on Chance, I played his lawyer, and that was just an incredible experience because he was absolutely delightful and everything you'd want in a great actor and more. And he's also a musician, so we talked about that. And that was really phenomenal. I've worked for 7 or 8 years now for Common Sense Media, which is an on-air as well as voiceover. So it's telling people, parents or anyone around kids, how age-appropriate movies are, how to talk to your kids about cell phones, social media, navigating through it. I've been very proud of that work, like doing the review for Wonder Woman, for example, which I love. I love that movie. I didn't write the review, I was reading it, but I've been doing it with them for 7 or 8 years, and I'm proud of that. It's a really good organization. What else have it's been over 10 years now. It's like 10 to 15 years I've been doing this full time. There's a couple of movies I've done I've really enjoyed. Every time you do something, for me, it's like, oh my God, this is the biggest thing I've ever done, and then you're like, oh my God, like I get to do that. I get really excited. Singing, I've sang for a game against the Giants and Dodgers with my entire family. That was really fun because I'm a Giants fan. So we don't like the Dodgers. So, I got to sing. Things like that, like getting to sing or my own show. Just like I said, so that kind of covers all of the things, voiceover, commercials, things like that. Yeah, I've been really proud of.
All right. Well, last question I'm going to ask you, then we'll take a little break, is how do you feel about social media? I say social media, can it make you or break you? And what is your opinion?
My opinion on social media, I like social media a lot. At first, it felt very weird for me because I feel like I feel so lucky to do what I love to do, and I didn't want it to come off like, here I am, I'm doing this. It's more like, oh my God, you guys, can you believe I'm doing this? So everyone I'm connected with, like on Facebook over the years, has seen me. It's like they're like a family, and on Instagram and stuff like that. Like, good for you. Oh, that's great that you're going for that or whatever. So I look at, I never lie in anything, good or bad or ugly or whatever, and I kind of feel like if you take it to where it's more like we're all in this together, kind of like as the world is, I think social media can be great for you and your soul. I think if you're only doing things to be on social media or, I like this profession. I love what I do. It's not for any other thing other than I just feel so grateful to be able to get up and be able to act, get up and be able to do voiceover, get up and be able to sing and actually get paid for it and get rewarded is a beautiful thing. But I do think for careers, I think it's very important that you are on social media, and I think it's just a great relationship that you have with other people that may be interested in it. Hopefully you're inspiring other people to be brave, and you probably feel the same way and put yourself out there. And if you're always honest about it, I think then you're going to always have a good time on social media.
No, absolutely. And for an example, are you on, I'm just going to ask you this for wrapping up the show, but while on the subject, are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32, and I'm going to ask you that again towards the end, but just to do the highlight, will those impact you and may get in certain parts or get in on people's radars?
Absolutely, 100%. Because I think, when you do, especially being like a character actress, and so, I love, I'm usually like, I was a mom or a soccer mom, and then I played like a heroin addict, and then I played like, mom that's a stripper, whatever, like totally different, which I think is the most wonderful thing about acting is that I get to play all these different roles. And I think that when you post these things, and I get a lot, even on Facebook and things like, hey, I didn't know, oh, you're on set with this person. It's a very small community here, like I've said, in San Francisco. We all know each other. But, hey, say hi to the camera guy or say hi to the director, blah, blah, blah. We might need you for something else. Or, oh, I saw you do this video. That's exactly what you're looking for, or what we're looking for this project. So it's really served me very well, as kind of like, okay, well, this is what I do, and again, I think not just being like yourself and being authentic and saying, yep, this is what I did today on set, and being grateful for it, I think has really helped me. And the support that I've had, like I said, is just amazing to me. I can't put it into words how much it means to me when I have people, some people I know, some people I don't know, face to face, but I know them on the internet, and just to be supportive and nice. And if they have a question, I'll try to answer it as much as I can and help them out too. So I really believe in social media. I think I think there are people that are probably lonely also, and I think it's really changed that state because there's so many groups you can get into and talk to and say, I'm just like you. I've gone through that too, or here's some helpful hints, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, I'm going to pass the show over to you.
Okay.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi everybody, this is Mark Neely.
Barry Papick.
This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier.
This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow.
This is Kerrigan Mahan.
This is Goldar.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew and what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm going to come kick your ass.
I can give you all my website and all that stuff on here, too, if anybody is interested in it, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network. I'm your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is the talented and beautiful Laurie Burke. And I just want to say thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to pass the show over to you, and you can ask me anything you like. But you did mention two things that I do want to talk to you about real fast. Is that you do mention you teach, and this is your passion. And one, how can people work with you, number one? And number two, have you ever worked with people with learning disabilities and disabilities?
Good questions. Both really good questions. Thanks. Yeah, the teaching just came out of more of a way of hopefully mentoring as well. I studied the same thing as when I started out, especially I believe being shy when I was a kid and kind of always having that. I think that for me, studying, and it's how I was brought up by my family, very, very, their work ethic, studying brought so much confidence that, like, let's say I did do a musical. It was a Stephen Sondheim musical, lots of words, lots of singing. I played drums in it. It was called Company. And I had to study that and study that and study that. And then before that, I went away and studied. So when I got to the stage, because we all get nervous, no matter what you're doing, I reminded myself, you know what, I can do this. I studied. This is the best. Yeah, I'm prepared. This is the best I'm going to be. And I have something to fall back on. Like, this is something that I really did. So, it gave me the confidence to get over the shyness, I should say. And knowing that is the best. I'm never afraid to fail. My biggest fear would be to not be prepared. So I always make sure that I'm prepared. And so, people study with me. I teach at a casting agency out here. It's San Francisco Acting Academy, which is also at Bobino. And as I'm casting, there are two agencies out here. I do an intro to voiceover class there. And then a lot of people study with me privately. And so what we do is, because I teach voiceover, but then also a lot of people are also actors and singers as myself. So I'm like, hey, you know what? The time's yours. What do you want to do? You want to go over these scenes that you have? Do you have a big audition? Do you have a shoot that's coming up? And then singing as well. Okay, what are you preparing? Let's work on that. So for me, it's teaching has been kind of a rite of passage because I want somebody to experience the joy that I have. And I want them to be with somebody that makes them feel comfortable and grateful for being able to do this and really getting to know yourself and being authentic. So if they need to get a hold of me or anything like that, I am all over the place. Instagram, Laurie Burke Productions. I've got art and singing at Love, Love, Love SF and Love, Love, Love Art, because it's another passion is photography and art and painting. And then for Facebook, I'm Laurie Burke Productions. Twitter, I'm not on as much, but that's at Laurie Burke. LinkedIn is Laurie Burke. What am I missing here? Stage 32 is Laurie Burke. So basically my name. Oh, and my email would be Laurie, Laurie, at laurieburke.com. LaurieBurke.com. So everything, my website's laurieburke.com. If I ever forget my name, I'm in good shape.
Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, when I first approached you, going on the record, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction, and what made you say yes?
When I read your mission statement, again, so I also volunteer. That was another thing. I really believe it's so nice when you could, give back. So I sing at UCSF. I volunteer for the inpatients there, and anytime I can do things for like the homeless here, San Francisco as a community, and people that have bigger barriers than I've had, let's say, and I think we're all in it together. So what I loved is your mission statement about, look, I can do everything. And you can, and maybe and excel at it, and anything that's your passion that you believe in. I really want to support that in everyone. So when I read that, I was like, absolutely, I'd love to be on your show. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Now stay tuned. I do have a couple questions for you off the air.
Sure.
Wrapping up our segment, it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest. Looking forward to building a friendship with you, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.